gotta fight to win. Fight to win. Fight to win. I'ma say it again. You gotta fight to win. Fight to win. It ain't over till it's over. It's about to begin. I'm so dedicated.
Good morning. Thank you for joining and tuning in to Endie Fiya's Monday Motivation. This is your man Causso, the My Struggle Is My Strength motivational speaker. I hope that everyone had a great weekend. I want to say thank you to all of the essential workers, all of the nurses, all of the doctors, all of the hospitals, all the truck drivers, everybody that's helping to keep this thing moving forward. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Endie Fiya for giving me this opportunity to speak. You can tune in to her show at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for music, entertainment news, and daily inspiration for everyone. You can go to Blog Talk Radio /Endie Fiya. That's ENDIE. Fiya is FIYA. Check it out, guys, and tell her Causso sent you. And we kicked off our Head First series discussing mind management. And in that first episode, we discussed how your mind is your greatest asset. And you can manage your mind by first being responsible for what goes into your mind and what also goes out of your mind. And in week 2, we talked about seeds. Everything starts with a seed. Everything starts with a seed. We talked about the law of sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow, whether you're speaking positively or negatively. You're planting seeds with your words. And lastly, we talked about how it's better to give than receive. Not just financially, but also giving your time and giving your energy. And if you miss these episodes, I highly suggest that you go back and you listen. And you can go back and listen on Blog Talk Radio /Endie Fiya. This week we will be subsetting the series with the title called The Power of the P. That's progress, right? And I think a lot of us, we all want to make some kind of progress in our life, right? But it seems like it's difficult to keep everything moving forward, all at the same time. It seems like, every time you try to push forward with something else is pushing you back. Like if you choose to eat healthier and change your diet and you're eating better and you're working out and as soon as you fix one part of your life, another part, it seems like it falls apart, right? And it's difficult to apply our limited selves to the endless demands of life. Some days you may feel like you're doing well and you're making progress in one area, which you probably deem as most important or a priority, and you devote an enormous amount of energy towards it, right? But there's other areas that not so much, right? It's like you're taking 4 steps back, and this is the paradox of progress. And I think a lot of people have heard of the word progress, but do you really know how to explain it? Like if somebody asks you how to explain what a paradox is, could you really articulate that? A paradox is something that seems opposed to our common senses, and yet it is true. Now, I'm not talking about a contradiction, but a paradox is something that doesn't make sense. And although you don't think it should be that way, it is true. Let's say, for example, and I'm sure you heard of the saying, "Blessed are the poor," or "Let the weak say I'm strong," or even "The last will be first, and the first will be last." That's a paradox, right? Because it's impossible to be first last. These scenarios they seem diametrically opposed, right? But they are true. And as you moving forward and progressing in one area, you find yourself caught in the sinking sand of a paradox. So what does that mean for me? That means that you really get to focus and lock in on the area that you want to progress in. There's an article in the Psychology Today by a well-known female psychologist talking about progress. And she discovered that, if people don't feel like they are progressing, she found out that that's the leading causes for individuals feeling inferior, and it's what causes people to compare themselves, because comparisons only have power when we feel like we're not progressing. Isn't it funny how we compare ourselves to other people? Like how we post content on social media, and if it doesn't get the response that you expected within a minute or two, you feel the pressure to delete it. Because it's like you kind of feel like your post wasn't as good as you probably thought it was, or you probably thought it was going to turn out. So I think we should stop trying to grow in the things that seem glamorous and stuff that would get noticed by people. I really think that's too shallow. Because whenever you attach your significance to material things, those things would never be enough. We live in a world that's been trained for instant validation and gratification. And whenever people do crazy stuff seeking to get attention, it's really not attention that they want. It's really validation. And before you argue with someone, or if there's anything that you don't agree with, just try to get their perspective, an inverted perspective. That's called empathy. And as a society, we've been programmed to celebrate the wrong things. And a lot of the changes that will happen in your life that are the most important are the least impressive. Like the ones that you don't get any compliments on, or you don't get a pat on the back. In fact, I discovered that the more consistent you are with something, the less compliments you're going to get, right? Like, if you're consistent with working out, and if you're consistent with being a good spouse, or even hosting a podcast, people will stop complimenting you and telling you that you're doing a good job, because the temptation is to make progress in one area that gets noticed, because it feeds our ego. And on social media, they call it vanity metrics. They want you to buy more ads for your business, and they tell you that you're reaching more people, but you're not really reaching more people. It's just scrolling through the feed. What you really want to figure out is the engagement. You really want to figure out how to connect with the people. Point number 1. Progressing is contingent upon your preparation. I'm going to say that again. Progressing is contingent upon your preparation. And I think that preparation it's underrated. It's not typically celebrated. Most of us are not progressing at the level of our potential. We are progressing at the level of our preparation. And I wonder if you're living beneath the level of your potential. Because as a society, we don't celebrate preparation. And the reality is we live in a post-oriented society. And I think it's something about staying on your post. I'm not talking about your social media feed. I'm talking about staying firm, staying grounded, and continuously progressing in your life. You know, when we think about our lives, there is something that's always progressing, even if it's in seed form. You know, that's germinating and maturing, and then it goes into depth, and then it goes into decay, and that's still progress, right? So I want to challenge all you guys to progress on purpose. Progress on purpose. It is impossible. You cannot progress in your life without a plan, right? It's been said that if you fail to plan, then you actually planning to fail. You know, like when you wake up in the morning, what do you do? What is your morning routine? And for me, I found that praying and meditating is very beneficial. Even if you're just meditating for 5 or 10 minutes, to me, that's how I like to start my day, because it sets the tone for my day. And I want to challenge you guys to get in some kind of rhythm, some kind of morning routine that will set the standard for your day, and you will have a much better and productive day just by getting up and starting your day that way. So as we're recapping, progress can often seem like a paradox, right? However, progressing is contingent upon your preparation, and if you fail to plan, then you're actually planning to fail. I want you guys to join us next week in the continuation of our Head First series. This is your man Causso. I want you guys to follow me on Instagram at ms_is_ms. I hope that everybody has a great week. I want you guys to stay safe. Please continue to wear your mask. And I want you to remember that saving lives starts with you.